occurred in several cities, with participants condemning the attacks and chanting anti-American slogans. President Trump announced plans to discuss territorial divisions between Russia and Ukraine in an upcoming call with President Putin. The conversation aims to address control over regions and critical infrastructure. The U.S. is set to withdraw from the International Center for the Prosecution of the Crime of Aggression against Ukraine, ICPA, according to a Department of Justice letter to European allies. This decision reflects President Trump's efforts to improve relations with Russia. A U.S. federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to explain the deportation of hundreds of Venezuelans, which may have defied a court order. The administration defends the action, citing national security concerns, while legal experts question its lawfulness.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn it.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
You know who makes me laugh? What the hell is that? What's happening? I'm telling you, there is. I don't want that. I want to say good morning, but it's not a good morning. You know what? I feel like every night gremlins sneak into this studio and just mess with all the settings. Somehow or another, oh look, we're seeing stuff over there. It never ends. I don't know if you can hear that, but now all of a sudden the phone system has gone haywire in here. I'm frustrated. Good morning, folks. It feels like Wednesday, right? It's a Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. I'd like to say we're going to have a good show, but we're probably going to have a technical farce. But we have some things to talk about. We have guests coming on. First guest will be on in just a few minutes. Joanna Interada, who is the book author. We're going to have a little recap with her because she has been on the program before. The book is called Summons to Berlin. It's about Nazis. And if there's one thing I'm really sick of, other than the gremlins that sneak into the studio and mess with my settings, it's Nazis. The Nazis, they're everywhere. And it seems to me, don't get me wrong here, this is just my perception. I have no data to back this up. But a lot of people in America kind of on a root for the Nazis. Tucker Carlson just the other day said he thinks the world might have been better if Hitler would have won. This is where we are. So we'll talk about it. It's a depressing thing. And you know what? those who are doomed to blah, 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 blah. Those who forget history, doomed to repeat it. We are sadly going to repeat it. I'm not sure that the book is going to, and Joanne's going to be able to help me resolve my issues with that today. But we'll talk to her about the book and see how she's doing and get a recap there. In the second hour, we have James Walters, who is bit of a kumbaya guy. He's an author himself, a filmmaker, a podcaster, and business owner and mentor, and sort of an inspirational. He's not like a motivational speaker. He's got a podcast which he does some, but he's out to help creative people find their voice and express themselves in a positive way. And you know what? That's good. It's we'll talk about that in hour two. Anyway, so right now, Steven's not going to be with us. He's off killing family members. Speaking of Nazis, we'll make the best of it. I'll see if I can remedy the gremlin problem while we play a commercial. And what commercial do we have? We don't have any commercials because Ron finds it more important to have, I don't know, sound effects. I shouldn't be taking it out on Ron, but we have too many bits occupying our advertising space. So today's show is brought to you by MindBloom. Who else?
MindBloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people to receive.
And ladies and gentlemen, in the room with me now are the aforementioned Ron Kane, Mr. Sound Effect himself, and not unmentioned, the never to be mentioned, the shall not be mentioned, the I can't forget to mention, D.D. Finison. Good morning.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com.
Look at he's just talking. I'm sorry.
If you have a cancer that you don't want, go to AmericanCancerSociety.org/donate to donate your cancer today. MindDogTV.com.
How we doing?
Enjoy the suffering and support your what?
How we doing with that cancer thing?
I don't know. I don't think enough people are donating cancers. I don't know how many people have been going to the website to donate their cancers.
I happen to think that this whole podcast on organization is just run by people like me, who just incompetent fools. That's what it is. I don't think they've raised a dime for any of the charities so far. Nobody knows what's going on. They're not plugging anything in. Like, there's no network that plugs everything in, brings it all together, and no way for people just to give on the spot to those charities. They have to go find the websites.
Oh yeah, then people aren't giving shit then, because you got to make it easy as possible.
Yeah,
I thought you said they've done this before.
No, this is their first time. I've done it before.
Oh, you've done. That's how you wrote me in. I thought I really thought, because the way you made it sounded like a professional organization, and I thought I was helping people out. No, okay, now I don't feel bad that they never got back to the Reverend. I don't. Now I don't.
I did not make it. I did not intend to make it seem like I knew that they were. Listen, this is their fourth year of supposedly doing this, but I can't see. They have a great website. It's a little confusing, but lots of artwork and lots of pages and lots of podcasts signed up for it. But it doesn't seem like there's, because they sent me an email yesterday. Who has published their episodes yet? It's like, publish it. I told you mine was live. Have you not been paying attention? We're doing this every day live. We're the only one that does it live. Obviously people are doing the editing and then posting it. So they did it a month ago, and my phone just keeps ringing. Life is just too complicated. I'm out. I'm checking out. We got Ron got some feedback yesterday from his little. Well, he didn't do the reel. He just made the statement about conservatives and liberals. But there's some feedback, some hate mail in my box I have to go through. It's interesting. Apparently, the feedback or the perception is that Ron was yelling at me, calling me a conservative, and insulting me because I'm too conservative. And it was kind of tongue in cheek. I didn't get that. I mean, I didn't see anywhere where people could get that interpretation from what he was saying. Do you remember what he said?
I watched it, and I specifically remember Ron saying, "Matt Napo, you are conservative in liberals' clothing. How you scum-sucking pig." I remember that.
I didn't hear that part. I must have been.
Did you have? Were you not listening? Were you listening with the second audio program, the SAP? Hit the SAP switch on your computer.
I was only listening with my left ear.
Oh, then you heard every other word. That's what the problem is.
I heard the left. I heard the left perspective.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't remember calling you a conservative, but I would definitely call you.
You must be the Monopoly guy.
I do pass go.
At least that's the only thing you pass, because those kidney stones are kicking your behind. No,
I could use to collect $200. I really could. I mean, things are tight.
I just seen some article. They had like pictures of kidney stones, like close up underneath a microscope. And they just look so nasty. It's just sharp edge after sharp edge on a kidney stone.
But they look so beautiful when they take them out. They look like polished stones, don't they?
No, they do not. And when they take them out, I don't know if when they take them out, but when they come out on their own, they look like meteors from hell, asteroids from hell, meteoroids.
It wouldn't be asteroids, because that's not where they come out, right?
Well,
they'd be pipioids.
No. Yes.
Pipioids.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up one of those images because of the close up.
You're gonna throw Matt into toxic shock.
I'm gonna spread my legs on the table and everyone.
We're gonna deliver one live on air.
Here we go.
So, are you guys? Have you guys had enough of the Nazis? Oh, what is that? Oh, that's well.
That's a close up of a kidney stone.
I don't think it's a kidney stone.
You know what it was? That looks like a collection of gems. They got little boxes and shelves that they're sticking them in, and
no,
they're round.
That is a kidney. Round. That is a kidney stone surface close up.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's fucking brutal.
I mean, it kind of makes sense if it's a collection of minerals, because minerals have irregular shape. Well, they have regular shape, but they're not, round. They're like, like salt has a constant shape. So that kind of makes sense. But looking at all those shapes, it looks like it's the same mineral because they all have the similar shape.
Wait, here's another picture of a kidney stone.
Oh yeah. That guy, he's a state senator, right? From like Ohio or something.
No, Minnesota.
Same thing.
Yeah. State Senator Justin Eichhorn.
Yeah. Talking about family values and all that stuff in his commercial, and then he goes, I guess he was soliciting a underage girl for prostitution or something.
16 years old.
Well, it's family values.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a family.
And he's the one. He's the one that started the whole Trump derangement syndrome.
Well, he started that. That was his.
Yeah, he's credited for starting that, and whoops.
But the Nazi thing has gone out of hand. Did you see this guy Daryl Cooper? It was on Rogan, and he was like talking about how the Jews are the only. They had the network of. They had a network of people, and they were the business hub of Europe, and they were the only ones who had it together. So no wonder everybody was, and just going on and on with anti-Semitism for 3.5-hour Rogan broadcast, and Rogan didn't fact check him once, didn't push back on any of the stuff he was saying. It's all acceptable again. It's all coming back. Anyway, let's move on to our first guest and get the Nazis out of our system. I don't think I'm ever going to get the Nazis out of our system. Joanne Interauer, as I said, has been on this program before. Her life has been shaped by being the daughter of German Jewish refugees. Since childhood, she pondered why people perpetrate atrocities on their fellow human beings because they're evil. That's why.
No, and my theory is indoor plumbing.
A question on her father's deathbed led her, a couple of questions led her to write the book, Summons to Berlin. She's back with us. Say good morning to Joanne Interauer.
Hey, good morning. Good to be here.
So the book, how's the book going? It's been a while, right? It's been 2 years since you've been on the program. No?
August of 2023, and it's found its own life. It's I'm getting letters from people from all over the world who've come across the book, and I'm still getting lots of comments on Amazon and being asked to talk. Last week I talked in front of about 45 people at a synagogue up in Westchester. So I'm quite busy with this, and I think it's become so because of the current times that we're in. People are coming back to my book because I really do kind of discuss how something like Trump happened, and what are the circumstances that lead to somebody like him. And in my book, in my afternote, author's note at the end of the book, I actually tell people that this is going to happen. I don't say Donald Trump per se, but it's very clear what I mean, how this is all going to go in the United States and why it's going to go a certain way. Just to stay positive, negative, optimistic, pessimistic. I've been pessimistic my whole life.
I love you.
A little girl into the dark. I've always wanted to know about the bad guys. And I wound up a psychiatrist and a specialist in forensic psychiatry. And I did the first brain imaging on psychopaths in the world with the world's expert, Dr. Robert Hare from British Vancouver. And so my mind has always been on this. And in any case, what I started to see, obviously, even before the Trump administration began, the first time, is he was appealing to people that had not been appealed to really before. And a whole part of our society had been missed. Remember, Hillary Clinton called them the deplorables.
Right.
And there was a major mistake of the Democrats at that time. I'm a Democrat, just to let you know, and I'm kind of pissed off at them and how they've handled everything. But we've sort of missed out. We got so much into identity politics, whether you're straight or not straight, or a girl or a boy. We've just missed the point that was an enormous amount of our population that wasn't being addressed.
Yeah.
This is similar to what happened with Hitler, in that you had all these men coming back from the most dreadful war, certainly up until that time, and may still be the most dreadful war, coming back after World War I, totally, sick, injured, family members are dead, coming back to a tremendous depression and absolutely no experience in governing, because all of Germany, and this is where I get to one positive thing about us, Germany always, up until the time of Bismarck in 1870, was a bunch of feudal states where you had the boss and then the next boss and then the employee, and everything was very stratified and authoritarian. So they, for 1,000 years, were living in a kind of authoritarian setup. But Bismarck comes along and unifies Germany. And the way you unify Germany, is through wars, France, different areas of Europe. And he starts talking about a kind of nationalism where we're Germans are greater than everybody else. And he appeals to the part of them, the sort of broken down part of them that want to think of themselves as hidden, fabulous people, and marked for an extraordinary future. So he started this nationalism. He organized Germany, but yet they had no real experience in governing. There was also a king. And when Bismarck was no longer in power, the king was in power, and there were many, many different kinds of wars that were going on. And Germany felt they had to have colonies in different parts of, just like the French and the Belgium and the English, they wanted to have their own colonies in Africa. And they began to see themselves as larger than they actually were, but surrounded by the entire Europe.
Right.
What you get with that is you have to have an inside and an outside. So what gets discussed is who's going to be on the inside and who's going to be on the outside. Jews have always been picked on since, for over 1,000 years,
I think it's 5,000 years.
Exactly. In other words, they are the ones when things are going bad, when there's a famine, when there's war, who are we going to blame? How are we going to get organized? We're going to go back to the fact that the Jews killed Christ and all the different things that the Jews do, and that they drink the blood of Gentiles and all the ancient stuff that goes back, way before the Middle Ages. And so that started picking up speed again. Germany lost the war. They had to find an excuse, so they said it was the Jewish bankers. Where that came from was, Meshuggah, excuse me, it was totally off the wall, but it really actually worked. So what happens is a bunch of guys, each of them want to be the leader of Germany. They're ex-military people. They get organized, and one of them was a lot smarter and a lot more clever than the rest of them, and that was Hitler. Wow. And in 1925, he wrote Mein Kampf. And if you go to 2025, you see the book of 2025 by Trump.
Right.
And we all know that came up from Viktor Orban's book that he used to pull Hungary out of a democracy into a fascist type of state. So, the playbook has been there all along, and the circumstances had to be right. So
you say we all know.
Yeah. Excuse me?
You said the phrase "we all know." I don't think we all know. I think some people got their heads so far in they don't want to know. It's a see no evil, hear no evil kind of thing.
Right.
But there is this big wall of denial. Like, stop! You're exaggerating by equating him with the Nazis. And listen, at this point, I feel like we're probably doing a disservice to Hitler by comparing him to Trump. He's not. People said, "Well, don't." Somebody said, "Don't compare Hitler to Satan." Yes, he's evil, but he's not as evil as Trump. That kind of feeling. But there's a huge part of people I talk to every day who say, "Don't call him a Nazi. You're just crazy. There's no equivalence at all. You're just overstating things. You got TDS or whatever. All like, it's like, haven't you seen the pattern before and the behavior before? Forget about the politics and ideologies of all of it, and just look at the behavior. And it's kind of in black and white. You can't ignore it, but some people are.
I mean, this is who he is. He really basically told everyone what he wants to do. He built up the MAGA group, who are really a bunch of disaffected people who've lost jobs. The white Christian males, the lowest in the totem pole in this country. Women are now above them. Black people are now above them. And what do you do for people like that? You tell them they're going to be in charge again, and the world is going to open up to them. And the United States is going to be that country that's all strong, and the other guys are going to be all bad and weak.
Yeah.
But there's one difference. I mean, I think we're in trouble. I have a job as a psychiatrist to help people get through this time. And most of my patients know that I have a background in history and I've done this work with psychopathy and stuff. And I've spent 9 years back and forth going to Berlin, fighting for something that the Nazis took from my family. And I experienced anti-Semitism there and had to manage myself in a way to be more clever, to be able to get done what I had to get done. The one thing that we have, I think, in our favor, and maybe it's too small a thing to get worked up about, is that we don't have a history of living as in an authoritarian country the way the Germans did. They fell into line so quickly. Now, I think that lots of people have fallen into line now. I'm not disputing that at all. I think there's a lot of people that are still in shock, and I'm hoping they're going to wake up. But we've not living in this push-down authoritarian world the way the Germans have. The Germans are always yes, yes, yes. Even now, I still don't trust their free, their sense of personal freedom. I'm a little on the cynical side about all that because it's such a long history that they've had. Certainly, the East Germans have maintained, and have never been in a democratic country. They've only been in under the Stasi, the Russians, and they've been under the Nazis. So, they're all primed to be as they were, quite a long time ago. So I'm not I'm not optimistic, but I'm hopeful about this idea that Americans are not basically like the Germans.
Well, yeah. Well, the world is flipped upside down now. I think Germany is looking at America like, how could you let that
Right.
happen? Like, hello.
I know. I
Here's
know.
a historical question for you, and I don't know if you know this, the answer to this question. But yesterday I saw Musk crying about them setting cars on fire, and he said,
Yeah.
I don't understand why they're doing this." And I'm like, if you think, I mean, they're upset about cars and vandalism, and obviously that violence is probably not. But here's the deal: they think it's about the cars. This is just the beginning. These are people who've been calling for civil war or trying to provoke a civil war for
Right.
9 years now.
Right.
And they're surprised it's starting. And it starts with cars, but it's going to end up being people. And we're going to end up Americans killing Americans in the short-term future here. Did that happen in Berlin or in Germany prior to Hitler just going full of blitzkrieg, and the final solution and all that stuff? Were there riots? Was there resistance that built up? Because I don't ever hear about that when we hear about the history.
I don't think there was much resistance. The issue was the communists versus the Nazis. The Jews were kind of outside, though the government, the Weimar Republic between World War I and World War II, what was as close to a democracy as one possibly could. But there were one assassination after the other. So there were riots and uprisings during that particular time, and anti-Semitism, maintained itself throughout that whole period and just, accelerated when Hitler fully came into power.
Yeah.
So it was always a brush fire, ready to kind of explode.
Yeah. What part of America are you located in? I mean,
I'm in New York City.
Oh, you are in New York City. Well,
Yeah.
I'm on Long Island, and
hey.
if you know the area, you
Yeah.
know that there's a heavy Jewish
Trump.
population,
Yeah.
and I have listen. I've got a lot of Jewish friends who are pro-Trump people, and they say, how could he be anti-Semitic? He's got a Jewish Jewish grandchildren. His daughter is converted to Judaism. I was like, that's not the same. Whether Jared Kushner and Ivanka, they're not. It's not a bloodline thing where they just hate these people. They are Jews as a matter of convenience. They are not a good representation of the Jewish culture.
Let me say something.
Let me just finish it.
Yeah.
Out of all the Jewish people that I talk to, so many of them are pro-Trump, and I try to say, well, don't you understand? Isn't this part of your history? Haven't you seen this before? He can't be. He cannot be, because like I can't be racist because I have a black friend. I don't know if you noticed that I got a black friend, so I can't be racist. So do you see that in when you go like talk about the book in synagogues? Are people are the Jewish people forgetting about their culture and their recent history in the last 100 years?
No, I think you've got a bunch of Jews that are definitely afraid of what's going on and afraid of being victimized. You have a lot of Jews that very, very wealthy Jews that think Trump is going to save their finances, and that Trump is going to be always for Israel. But what I want to say now is, as a psychiatrist, I will make a diagnosis, even though I'm not supposed to, for the American Psychiatric Association, but it's nothing new to anybody. He is a classic psychopath. And a psychopath really means cold, ruthless, no empathy. So if I'm standing in his way and he wants to stand where I'm standing, he'll kill me.
Right.
So he has no loyalties. His loyalty is the preservation of himself. So do you think he get rid of his kids? I do. I don't think he's interested in anyone but his own, hide.
Right.
And so he's a shapeshifter to accommodate whoever he needs to accommodate. I think the Jews should be very cautious about thinking that he's always going to be for them. There's going to be a time where Christian nationalists are going to say, well, the Jews served a certain purpose, but we're not so interested in them anymore.
Yeah.
He's totally transactional.
Yeah.
Totally.
I
And
agree.
many of the very wealthy people in this country have been transactional too, in the sense that they want to preserve their money. And
do you think the book that
yeah,
you've written, Summons to Berlin,
yeah,
first of all, will it be forgotten in the terms that, because we're rewriting history, so
right,
I mean it's fine that the book is being read by people who
yeah,
already are inclined to like
yeah,
be open to the stuff,
right,
but
right.
it's going to be in libraries where and have you put it in library and school libraries,
Yeah.
or is there a resistance, like they see the book and wait a minute, you're just a troublemaker?
No, I got the first a big positive comment came from the library organization of the United States, and I've been to libraries, and it's been really in the New York City area. I went out to Far Rockaway. I've been, to other parts of the city, and I've really had a good experience, and people want to hear. There's also a little bit of, advice as a psychiatrist about how to manage times like this. So, in terms of how to live one's life, knowing all this stuff is going around us in a 360-degree way, and we have to acknowledge it and know it, but we can't sacrifice our everyday knowing that that's on the outside. We've got to find some sort of balance, and otherwise we the good guys are not going to make it through it.
Yeah.
And so it's so I'm not all completely pessimistic. I'm I have a part of me that is slightly hopeful. As I said, I have a history of being pessimistic, so this is a big leap for me.
Hope is a difficult thing for me at this point.
Yes,
I'm looking for hope. I'm a pessimist as well, but I have looked for things to be hopeful about.
yeah,
They're fleeting though. Every time I start to feel like there's hope or there's
right.
light at the end of the tunnel, or like hope on the horizon, it's something comes along to just crush it, and so I'm
We're
not
at
I'm
a
not there.
pivotal time. It's interesting. Is Judge Roberts gonna, hang in there and speak up to him? This is an important step that happened the other day.
Right.
But he only did it out of fear. Because when Roberts was not afraid of Trump, he was
Right.
giving Trump what he wanted. Okay, Trump wasn't in office like that. You can be immune. You can have immunity. You can have this decision, that decision. Roberts wasn't afraid. because
Right.
I don't think he ever thought in the back of his mind that Trump would come after him and the people that are capable of
Right.
bailing Trump out.
Mhm.
Now Trump feels like I don't need anyone to bail me out. I am all powerful. I am the great and
Right.
powerful Trump. And so now Trump is going after the courts, says, no,
Yeah.
you stop me. So Roberts is afraid. That's the only reason why he spoke up. It's out of fear. He's trying to, he's posturing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Wait.
a scary process.
Oh,
It
that's
really
enough.
is. You know, and the Democrats have been a tremendous disappointment. They're completely quiet and muted.
Well, they have been a big disappointment. I would agree with that, but I don't know what they could do at this point. It feels like they've tried throwing things at the wall. Oh, we can be tough like them. We'll just give them fight fire with fire and just go into the mud with them. That doesn't work. We'll try being passive and civil. That doesn't work. They do feel like they buckled. Under and just
Yeah.
surrendered a bit, but
Right.
I don't know what they could do. It's like fighting Freddy Krueger. Every time you think he's dead, he's coming back.
Yeah.
You need unfortunately, in order for the Democrats to fight on the same level as the GOP, as the MAGA people, they need their own version of a monster. They need their psychopath.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
that's it.
They just need to have a fucking backbone, and they haven't had one for years. And you
Yeah.
just seen it, the way fucking Chuck Schumer just ran away from this whole CR. They have no backbone. That's their problem. They literally have zero backbone.
Yeah.
And see, now I don't believe it's that they don't have a backbone. I believe it's that, unfortunately, it's the nature of people who want to compromise.
But if you're my issue is like the whole time during the election is like, oh, democracy is in trouble, this and that. Then when he does win, you're just kind of laying over on it. It's like, come on, step up. We need leadership. It's not a monster. You need a real leader, and there is zero leadership.
Right. You know, there was
sounds like we've convinced Ron to become a pessimist.
Yeah,
well,
because he was hopeful up until November.
It's just the reality of the situation, though.
I know,
Yeah.
but you were an optimist up until November 5th. Now you're on our side. Congratulations.
Any leader in the Democratic Party chances are they're going to be a politician, which means even if they have a backbone, they're still going to be thinking of their political future, which means they're going to be treading lightly because they want to move the party forward and preserve their political career. That's why I'm saying you need someone of a psychopath, someone who does not care about their political career, someone who just wants to fight back for the sake of fighting back.
But they've been pushing that bit for years, though, with Trump, and they still haven't done it. It's like, just move out of the way and let someone else lead, because obviously they do not want to do it.
They didn't take him seriously, I don't think. You know, they thought of him as kind of a clown, you know, but after January 6th, that they really should have taken the whole thing seriously, because that was going to happen again. And what I said to people at that time is, once he's in power, he's never leaving. He doesn't give a damn about elections. He's going to stay put, or he'll create a phony election that happens in these, you know, in these fascist countries. So,
well, I think the past election we had was the test ground for that. I think the 2024 election, I really believe, was at the risk of sounding like a conspiracist, I just know that there's been so many things that went wrong with that election, and it feels like no one's actually looking into it.
I agree with you. Nobody talks about how this could have happened, what Putin's role might have been. You know, that's really very disturbing.
Yeah.
Even outside of Putin's role, I mean, when you have someone like Musk, Musk openly used $277 million out in the open. That's not even counting any money he may have, funneled through black money, through the dark stuff. So, and considering what Elon Musk was trying to do, which is basically save his ass and save his company, trying to stay, he had 5 different branches of the government investigating him for serious violations.
You know, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's right in front of us. You know,
couple of things I want to get to with you because I know you are. Are you still practicing psychiatrist?
oh, I am. I love it. I am.
Well, earlier you mentioned about things that could help people get through these times because I am, I'm a basket case because of all this stuff. It keeps me up at night. It drives me crazy. Oh, Good
Yeah.
Brew will help me get through. Is that what you were just saying? Pointing at Good Brew, that's going to help me get through. What
Oh,
are there
it's hard.
specific things that you could mention that could help a nutcase like me find peace in the time?
Leave the country.
I love it here.
Yeah. You might need an anti-anxiety agent, you know, as a doctor. But
Wow.
but I wouldn't, if I don't know what your habits are, but I wouldn't increase drinking. I wouldn't, you know, screw your brain up by drinking. Matter of fact, I would drink less during these times. And the other thing is that because you're in news, you're overexposed to all of this, you know, so you have to have some downtime that whether you're into music or something or, you know, being outdoors, you've got to let yourself be free of it and ask yourself, I need some, you know, I need 2 minutes off and I'm just going to walk around outside and I'm going to breathe. And, you know, this sounds hokey, but the US Army has been taught to do mindful breathing and they do it all over the world to calm themselves down. And there's been, you know, work to in conflict crises throughout the world. There have been works with the breath so that one takes an inhale through the nose and then a slow exhale through the mouth. And I'll tell you what that does. There's a very big nerve called the vagal nerve, and that is the head of the autonomic nervous system. What that does is quiet the fight and flight mechanism, which you're in a continuous fight and flight mechanism. You're tense, you're anxious about it. I'm struggling with this also. So if you do this kind of breathing, you wake up this vagal nerve and it calms literally through the body chemistry. It can calm things down. And if one does it when one wakes up, maybe once during the day, you know, before bedtime, you have to shut all the stimuli down at night also. You can't be bombarded with your phone. I know you've got to be on call in your work, but you've got to sort of say, there's my time. And the doc says to me, I need to make it quiet. I've got to put on some cool jazz.
Yes.
I've got to have my time. Otherwise, I'm not going to make the distance.
Good
And you've
point.
got to make the distance through this because you're important.
Yeah.
You're important in your own life and you're important to other people.
Well,
So
you know what?
I'll give you some advice. I swear,
you-
I'll talk to you on the phone and you can come and I'll see you for free.
Wow,
I mean
that's beautiful. I appreciate that. You have been a very good ego boost here for me this morning because I know you're a well-educated, very smart person, and I hear you saying things that I've been saying for a while, and I think, well, I'm not such a dope. Look, we have a smart person here saying the same things that I'm saying. I'm not all wrong. So
No,
you've
you're
been
not
kind of
wrong.
helpful.
You have to it's a habit. You have to create. You have to, like, I'm kind of silly, but when COVID came, I made all my female patients wear shoes that had good soles and not wear high heels anymore. They're not walking around in high heels in my practice. And I said I'd go to their closets and throw the high heels out. So what I do with them is I teach them how to ground themselves on the earth, to stand and feel the earth beneath them, feel their toes, you know, feel their ankles, you know, feel the bottom of their feet and know that they're getting energy from the earth and have a good, you know, stance and have your head facing the heavens. And you're connecting in a different way than you're connecting in with television or anything. And you're going to breathe in that state. And you catch yourself when you do that. You can turn your mind around in 30 seconds if you know to ground yourself when you're walking. Even if you walk out of your studio and say, I'm walking around the block, I'm just going to breathe. It's a nice day out. I'm going to listen to what she says. I'm just going to breathe for 1 minute. That in and out stuff. She says, breathe out of your mouth. Let it out through your mouth, in through your nose, and the exhale is longer. And the U.S. military does this, and we have this mechanism in our own bodies that people just don't utilize.
Yeah.
And
now that breathing method was something we were taught. I mean, back when I was a youth. When I was an amateur boxer, that was basically how they taught us to breathe as a boxer. It's like we'd spent a lot of time on breathing exercises even before we put the gloves on.
My problem is I've been engaging in all those things that you said. My problem is when I come back, I re-stimulate myself to the negativity and put on Twitter, and then I see what he said 5 minutes ago, and
you're furious. So maybe you've got something else you can go to.
Yeah.
I don't know, something that somebody.
I just need to modify my behavior and realize after I've gone through that walk and done the breathing and done my art and my music and all that stuff, and now I'm in a good place. Don't turn on the computer. Just stay away for a while.
If you can let yourself stay away for a while and own that good feeling, all right, you're going to get to the bad feeling again, but at least you have a pathway back to that other feeling. You have to say, I know how to get back there. It's in my control.
All right.
And I can't give into this crap. I can't give into it. It can't own me.
Thank you for that. I know you're busy, and I'm going to let you go. But before you mentioned empathy, and I've been on this kick that, listen, that's not an original thought, but I feel like we have a pandemic of lack of empathy.
Exactly.
It's a human, not just a United States thing. I think it's a worldwide thing where we see empathy as a weakness rather than a strength. And I don't. Do you think that is there any way we can ever get back to being empathetic as a human race?
Well, we have to name what's frightening us. And you see, I think we lose our flexibility as human beings when we get scared. When there's chaos and more refugees have moved across this earth than at any other time in history. We all know we're in the middle of there is mega climate change. We're all frightened. There's storms. When we are frightened and we don't name what we're frightened of, we tend to close up and save ourselves and point to the other person. And I don't have room for that. I'm trying to save myself. Yeah. So I think to name the fears, and the fears go beyond Trump. The fears go, with nature and the loss of nature and water supply and birds, species of birds dying. We have to sort of look to where we are, in order to get that part of ourselves back.
I agree. Well, thank you very much for being part of it, and we'll continue to support the book. I think it's an important book for people to read and stay connected to the message. This is less than 100 years ago, and we've forgotten history. It's incredible.
Exactly.
So thank you for being here. The book is called Summers to Berlin. We're showing it there, and the link to Joanne's website is in the description. It's scrolling across the bottom. Joanne, thank you.
I love being here. You guys are great.
Right.
Take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye for
Thank
now.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
The fear thing is real. I was arguing with somebody on Twitter last night and this morning because they're concerned about homeless people, and they said, "Here's what I'll paraphrase a hour and a half argument into like 30 seconds here. They were concerned about drug users. These homeless people are all drug users on the streets, and I said, "Well, you have no problem with rich people snorting cocaine, like mountains of cocaine in their gated communities. But you're angry at these people doing drugs." And I said, rich people will commit crimes that make those squatters or those people that make you uncomfortable. You're afraid of them. I understand that. but the rich people will commit crimes that make those look like amateurs. Oh, what rich person has ever committed a crime? And I started going through a laundry list of like O.J. Simpson, Phil Spector, but I gave him like 150 names at once. I said, and these the Menendez brothers, DuPont, Michael Skakel, all these people are drug users, number one, and really violent criminals, number two, and you don't have any problem with them. And they said they admit they don't have any problem with nice, wealthy people breaking the law in their gated communities. That the problem is these people who are doing it on the streets who might attack your children. I said, well, don't you understand that those people on the streets are getting their drugs from distributors who are very wealthy and live in these gated communities? If you don't have a problem with the rich people, the uber rich people doing it, then it's going to end up on your front door. That's the problem. And all of this stuff, if you don't address the root cause of it, it's going to come to your front door eventually. And I think, but fear is the number one thing. They're afraid of these homeless people. Yeah, I understand
that, and they don't know what crime is. I think they see it's almost like if you're crazy, if you're poor and if you're poor and unbalanced, you're crazy. If you're rich and unbalanced, you're eccentric. Okay, if you're poor and you're living outside the law, you're a criminal. If you're rich and you're living outside of the law, you're creative.
Cadillac Tim is with us. You know what? Sometimes he has been watching on Instagram. I noticed that, but we're not on Instagram. Instagram's been giving me nothing but problems the last week or so. So today we're not on Instagram. First time I'm trying different stuff. So we're on Picardo, which I'm not even sure what Picardo is, but we're on.
Is that like the Picardi brand of streaming service?
I don't know. I've never actually watched or listened to anything on Picardo myself. I'm not even sure what it is or where it is.
Yeah, please don't make me put another app on my phone. Just so I can find out what the hell we're on. And in California says, "Good morning, coffee is ready." Oh, she misspelled ready.
When things are going bad, make sure you drink some Picardo.
The thing that I'm interested with Joanne now, I should call her Dr. Interada. She's a psychiatrist, right? New York based. Try taking the book to Texas and see how it plays there. New York, obviously, we have a large segment of Jewish people here, and because they have family that remembers the Holocaust. We are in Holocaust denial time. People are back in this world where, Tucker Carlson saying it would have been a better world if the Nazis would have won. I mean, but I think if you take that to Texas, Idaho is definitely a white supremacist skinhead state. I don't think I think they would poo-poo any of this stuff. We're just overreacting. Trump is, and forget about Trump. The whole Nazi sympathy thing is overplayed in their view, and it's just like, man, how can we forget that quickly? It happened when I grew up. We would play, playing war as kids would do. You got your guns. It was always Americans against the Nazis. The Nazis were the bad guys. Those same guys I grew up with, they see a black dude punch a Nazi in the face, and they're on the side of the Nazi because they don't like the black guy. This is bad.
Well, it depends on the black guy.
Truth is, I'm right about all of it, and you know it.
You and Texas you act like Texas is the Wild West. No, I don't act like that. Do I act like Texas is the Wild West?
No, they're just a backward state, and it's just Texas.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's correct in that I'm stereotyping the whole state. There are I have liberal friends and empathetic friends who live in Texas, but I also talk to a lot of people in Texas, and the state, the governor of the state is a rootin' tootin' Nazi.
My issue is not just with Texas, but with any state of the United States that wants to single out it's like they're trying to carve out a personality for themselves as a state. You know what I'm saying? So like Texas, like the cowboy hats and the boots, and so it's not like the people. It's not like I think that every individual in Texas is a Yahoo or anything like that, but it's like they have a state costume, which is the hat and the boots and the spurs, and when half of them never ridden a horse.
You know, I think it would
American.
be good, constructive if we could find a bunch of people from Texas who are talking about secession and all this stuff, who regret because they were once a country, who became part of the United States. It could be that those people have a conversation with Canada. we regret our ever becoming a state. We were a country. We became a state, and not obviously not all of them regret it, but there are some who have that kind of feeling. So, yeah. So,
and this decade, this 2025, this election cycle, this is not the first time the United States has had its rub in with Nazis and Nazi sympathizers. I mean, we went through this with World War II. You know, I mean, even before we got involved in the war, we had a plethora of politicians that were being paid by the Nazi Party to dole out Nazi propaganda, and
they had a rally at Madison Square Garden, America First. Hello, echoes, man. That echo is so loud you can hear it from I don't know, Uranus. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's like I said, some people, like I said, it's fear. You know, for me, that's the biggest thing. It's they're afraid. You know, they're afraid of things that aren't even real. I mean, okay, yeah, there were 9 black billionaires in this country, 9 black billionaires. You know,
wow.
You know, and 2 of them are Oprah.
I was going to say Oprah.
And two of them are Oprah. So I'm sorry, no, we just lost a billionaire. So there may be 8 black African American billionaires or black billionaires in this country because we just lost one.
Well, the draft is coming up, right? Don't we have a
the draft is coming, so maybe able to get 2 or 3 more billionaires out of the minors.
Give me a name other than Oprah that I would recognize.
Rise up, stroke down.
I can actually see her face, and I can't think of her name now. There was.
Oh my fucking
That's another woman?
No. Let's see. There's a guy, but he just died. His name was Junior Bridgman. He just died like a few days ago. He was a billionaire. I think his name is Robert Johnson. I think Robert Johnson. He used to own BET. Before he sold it. I'm not sure I don't know about Tyler Perry's status. I don't know if he's a billionaire yet or not.
Wow, that would surprise me. Anyway,
yeah. What about Byron Allen? What about Byron Allen? He's a billionaire.
Is he?
He's a self-made billionaire.
How? Where did he make his money off of? Like
Byron Allen
producing stuff.
He started out in stand-up, but
then as a comedian,
yeah. Then he started buying up television stations and cable networks that he owns the Weather Channel. I think that's one of the he bought the fucking Weather Channel like 30 fucking years ago. He invested in all like these little cable properties because he's like, I think these have potential. And he built himself a little empire.
That's amazing. Good. Well, I say good for him. Maybe I don't know what he does with his money. Maybe, hopefully, he's doing something positive. I did not know that about him.
He's a fairly normal, decent guy.
Here's the thing that came to mind when you said this, because he started in stand-up, and I know he did start in stand-up. When people come out with these lists of most successful comedians, they always bring up Seinfeld. He's a billionaire. I was like, yeah, he didn't make his billionaire doing stand-up. He made his billionaire off of syndication off his television show, which is a business decision. That's not. He didn't make it in comedy. He didn't make billions of dollars in comedy. And so, if you're going to put Seinfeld on that list, why not include Byron Allen then? Because he's a billionaire too. He does, on the same level. He made his money in the business stuff, not doing it in stand-up. But it's still, if you're going to count one guy as a billionaire,
he's 63 years old.
Wow.
And I mean that his story is really like and an American dream story. Like, he built it himself.
He's more of a legitimate billionaire than, say, Donald Trump or Elon Musk. So.
Yeah.
Now, how could I admit? Okay, I'm looking at a list now. 22 of them. Tyler Perry is a billionaire. Tyler Perry is a billionaire. Michael Jordan, I don't even know how I left Michael Jordan off the list. Jay-Z, I don't know how
I think Jordan was a billionaire. He gambled it all away, right? He lost it on slot machine.
Yeah, but he won it back from Charles Barkley. That's why Charles Barkley is not on the list.
Right.
Magic
Johnson.
Take this.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Byron Allen owns 12 cable networks and produces around 70 television shows.
Wow. And Clear Channel has not, and the corporate interests have not, I guess if you're a billionaire, you can fight them off. But, good for him, whatever. I want to play news here. Our second guest was here and ran away. I don't know. Did I say something offensive?
What if he came back on? He's like, yeah, it was those Jews, Like,
I don't know if he's coming back. GD, well, I just noticing before I play this news here. What's this? Is that background you got? A car? What am I looking at here? Are you in a room? Or are you in a car?
Yesterday he was a designated driver, and today he's driving.
Okay. Now, how much thought do you stay up late night and thinking about these things? Like, what am I going to do for a background tomorrow, right?
No, I just go through my collection.
Right.
I mean, occasionally,
the picture that's missing is GD's head over in his lap.
Yeah. How could you be in a car? I'm not hearing the echo, because generally when people come on from a car, you hear this weird glass echo.
I don't use earbuds. Even when I'm in the car, I use earbuds. I only use one so the other ear can hear the traffic.
Yeah, but you could use earbuds, but still the sound out of your mouth will bounce off the glass and create a
bounce-proof glass. When you buy a luxury car, you get that, huh?
Let's do sports with terrible music. How bad is this music going to be? We'll find out.
This is the latest sports headlines. The Professional Tennis Players Association, co-founded by Novak Djokovic, has filed an antitrust lawsuit against tennis governing bodies. The suit alleges these organizations hold complete control over players' pay and working conditions, violating state and federal laws. The lawsuit seeks a jury trial to increase player earnings, arguing that current practices cap prize money and limit off-court income. The ATP and WTA tours have dismissed the lawsuit as baseless, highlighting their recent increases in player compensation. In Major League Baseball's season opener at Tokyo Dome, Japanese players showcased their skills as the Los Angeles Dodgers defeated the Chicago Cubs 4-1. Shohei Ohtani contributed significantly with 2 hits, including a key double in the 9th inning. Dodgers pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto delivered a strong performance over 5 innings, giving up just 1 run and demonstrating enhanced velocity on his fastball. Cubs' pitcher Shota Imanaga impressed with 4 hitless innings, marking the first opening day matchup between 2 Japanese starting pitchers in MLB history. The NCAA has agreed to eliminate its rule preventing athletes from negotiating name, image, and likeness deals before enrolling in a college. This settlement came as a result of a lawsuit arguing the rule violated antitrust laws. Pending federal court approval, athletes will now be able to secure NIL deals prior to college enrollment and during recruitment periods. The NCAA will also be required to publicize any future NIL rule changes for 5 years and consult with states before implementing them. During the Heat-Knicks game at Madison Square Garden, comedian Tracy Morgan fell ill, causing a delay in the 3rd quarter. The interruption lasted over 10 minutes as workers cleaned the area around Morgan's seat. A spokesperson for Madison Square Garden expressed wishes for Morgan's swift recovery and anticipated his return to his courtside seat. The Knicks went on to win the game 116-95. Johnny Broome of Auburn and Cooper Flagg of Duke have been unanimously selected to the Associated Press Men's College Basketball All-America First Team. Broome, a 5th-year senior, and Flagg, a first-year star, lead their respective teams into the NCAA tournament as number 1 seed. Both players are aiming for a national championship.
I couldn't ignite that bomb fast enough. I wanted to just lay on the bomb and let it suicide bomb me. Boy, that's all. No, we can't do sports anymore. Al, I appreciate the idea of having a sports report. That sucks. Was it good for you? No, it wasn't good for me. It sucked. So anyway, I don't know if our next guest is coming back. He ran away, and I'm wondering, what did I do this time? What did I do this time? Could have kept Joanne a little longer, couldn't I? Well,
I thought she had it hard out. I thought she had to leave.
Yeah, you know what? Some people actually have important lives and things they need to do rather than be on this dopey program. Not like us, but like she's dealing with people who actually have illness, mental illness and stuff. So she's an important person. Unlike us, we're not important people. So now I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm not going to play that another news segment of terrible news. There was a rout last night in the NCAA stuff. I think I saw one score. It was 92-48 or something. South Carolina or North Carolina, I guess, because South Carolina, they're not the basketball thing. I forget who they were even playing. But the
you may see a few of those in the early rounds because you have like your number 1 seeds facing your number 16 seeds, and there's like a big gap in talent.
Right. Now, opening day in baseball, March 19th. I remember when baseball opening. My day. I'm sorry. Can we play the Boomer Corners thing? Like the second week of April was opening day. Now I know they're in Japan, so probably the other teams a couple of days, like over the weekend or something. When does it happen here? Too early.
April, I think. Let me look it up quick.
Yeah, because spring training just started. I mean, the pictures just reported a week or two ago.
I know, but they had opening day with Chicago and LA in Japan. That seems like they couldn't even have been ready.
But that's their opening day in Japan. That's not ours. It's.
How do they choose the teams? The Dodgers won a World Series, right? I think they did. Did they beat the Yankees last year? That's how. But the Chicago Cubs, how did they get picked to go to?
It was probably their turn because a lot of times the teams really don't like doing it. They don't like going, especially during the season. During the season, like in football players, they hate it because they have like just a few days to get ready for the next game, and then you send them over to Europe, to play, and then they got to come back and try to maintain their same regimen of training. It's a pain in the ass.
Cadillac Tim doesn't want me to get started. You know what? I hate Lee Zeldin like a fucking. I can't tell you how much I hate that son of a bitch.
Hey, just to let you know, just quick, the baseball season is underway, so it officially, I guess, did kick off in Tokyo. I thought it was in April, but
fucking A. Too long. It's too cold. If you're in New York, you can't go to a home game, especially at night in March.
No, that'd be brutal.
I remember going in like late April, and they're selling hot chocolate, and we were just buying like bulk hot chocolate just to keep them between our legs and in our pockets as pocket warmers.
I remember back in there, we used to pee ourselves to stay warm in the bleachers.
Oh, you were there. I forgot. You used to watch us pee ourselves and come to the game.
Yeah, besides the Cubs and the Dodgers, 26 other teams will celebrate opening day on Thursday, March 27th. Well, so it's sort of kicked off, but not kicked off here.
Well, all right. So, you got to kind of figure out how to start these games if you're going to be starting this early in maybe not this week, but next week. Start them all like in California and Florida and Texas.
So everybody plays in the southern states. All the games are
too. They made the season longer and moved the World Series where it goes into November. Right. And a lot of those games are terrible because you can see how cold everybody is.
Yeah, they're gonna have to change Reggie Jackson's nickname to Mr. November, even though he
but he doesn't. Yeah. That's. I think I think A-Rod became Mr. November for a while. I think.
Yeah. Jim is saying about Lee Zeldin. A while back, you liked him after meeting him. It lasted all of like till election day. I met him in he was campaigning for Congress in 2016, and he was running. And I met him at a Stop and Shop, and I said, "Promise me that you won't toe the line for Trump if Trump gets in," because I had already assumed Trump was going to win, even though people were saying Hillary was a sure win. There's no way Trump could win. I was certain Trump was going to win, and I made Zeldin promise me he wouldn't be a rubber stamp for Trump, and he did. He looked me right in the eye and said he would be a down the line, issues guy, and stand up for what's right and stand up against Trump. And then as soon as he got elected, he became a rubber stamp for Trump. I was like, you fucking scumbag. This is why I hate him so much. Like, you look me in the eye. This is not like somebody on television making campaign promises. You were shaking my hand, looking me in the eye, asking for my vote, and telling me what you thought I wanted to hear. He's a scumbag. He's a typical fucking lying scumbag politician. Everything that's wrong in politics. Anyway, I don't think James Walters is coming back. And maybe I should write to him and say, "What did I do? Did I hurt you?" Do you think I should do that?
Sure.
Do you guys check out? I'm just talking too much and I put you both to sleep. Is that what happened?
No, I am responding to the chat room in the other thing.
What they said? Did they say yesterday? We got a lot of, I don't know, negative reaction to Steve Grillo. Some people were saying like he wasn't a personal assistant to Howard. He was an intern. I was like, well, I think he knows his life better than you. He says he started as a personal assistant to Howard and then to Robin, and then became an intern on the show. His intent was to get the intern position, but they hired him as a personal assistant. That's his story. Are you going to tell him he's lying, or are you going to tell him he's got his facts wrong? But ton of negative reaction to him. And I'm surprised. Good thing, the good side of that is it got more listeners. The people wanted to hear what somebody who worked in the Howard Stern circle was going to say. They don't care about what Jackie's going to say, but so more people were listening. The radio side, I think the numbers were crazy yesterday, but it's just the idea that you think you know the guy's life better than he does. You're either calling him a liar, or you think because you listen, you know better than he does. It's whatever.
Well, I had never listened to, well, I should, not that I never listened to Howard Stern. I was not a Howard Stern listener. I would catch it moments from time to time. But from what little I knew about Howard Stern, I could tell that Stephen Grillo was full of shit, that he never even met Howard Stern. They were never even in the same room. I could tell. I could just tell he was just making it all up. It's just, I could feel it right here. Here.
Here, I
can feel it right here.
He's from Brooklyn.
He's probably faked that too.
You think he faked being from Canarsie? Nobody in their right mind would ever fake being from Canarsie.
And that's what somebody who's
in his right mind.
That's exactly. Kid Rock really wants to live in a trailer.
See, he wants to live in a trailer and shoot Bud Light cans.
Speaking of people who were on the Howard Stern show, Jackie, I don't know if Jackie knows what he's doing with email. He's having this conversation with this woman, the first girl to get naked on the Howard Stern show, back when he was on AM. And I don't think he knows that he's seeing me on all this stuff, and I'm seeing this whole correspondence. He's asking her where she is, if she's married. I'd love to get together. I'm like, wait, what's going on?
Okay, Matt, let's assume that he doesn't know that he's CCing you, so he really intends for that conversation to be private. Yeah, you just put it the fuck out there.
No, Barbara, his girlfriend, does not listen to this program. It's safe.
Doesn't have to. Somebody else can. It's like telephone. All right, telephone. Somebody else who knows. And then by the time he gets to his girlfriend, it's way worse, because instead of hearing the original draft, she's heard the version where Jackie's bending her over the bus stop and fucking her in the middle of the street. That's the version she's hearing.
You might be right about that. I know Tom Ingenito from what the fuck is the name of the agency? Well, it doesn't matter. But he listens to the program a lot, and I know he does talk to Barbara.
See, that's all. That's all it takes. That's all it takes is for one person, and by the time they repeat what they've heard you repeat, which may not be an accurate depiction of what he repeated,
right?
Repeating history.
All right, let's put some smoke in the distance here, so that he doesn't get ratted out. Don't rat out Jackie. We like Jackie. And besides, he didn't say I want to suck your big rack. He said I'd love to get together with you. Maybe he was going to bring Barbara and have like a social. Anyway,
that's why I'm very careful about what I say on this show because I know.
Oh no, you're not.
Yes, I am. Well, you'd be surprised at shit that goes through the filter and stops right here before it comes out here.
All right.
You have no idea. You have no idea how bad I can be.
See, James just came back and then he heard you say you have no idea how bad I could be, and he ran away again.
It's like the other night we were doing edibles and drinking, and I was telling stories, and everybody was laughing. And I was in the back of my mind as I'm telling these stories. I'm saying I would never tell these stories if I wasn't fucked up. In the back of my mind, I knew all the things I was saying that I would not say if I wasn't messed up. And they were laughing, and I'm thinking to myself, I said to myself, now I know why comedians think they're funnier when they're stoned, and they write those jokes down and then they try them in front of an audience that's not stoned, and it's not working. And I said to myself. And I said to myself, don't write this down. This is not funny. This is not audience funny. This is people are fucked up funny.
I know comedians who go on stage drunk or not drunk, but buzzed on alcohol. I don't know many who are go on. They're either alcohol or cokeheads. I don't know a lot of potheads that do comedy.
Then you have not been out. That's quite. I mean, Ron may be able to speak more accurately to that because I don't work with as many comedians anymore as he does. He works with a lot more than I do.
Talk to me, Ron. A cokehead in comedy, you know, cokehead in comedy.
No, I think you're talking about the potheads.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Oh, yeah. It's mainly weed and alcohol. I haven't really ran into any cokeheads that I know of.
Yeah. Coke, it makes you just tell the jokes too fast and run through your set too quick.
Yeah, I mean, you could clearly tell if someone was on coke, but I think the biggest thing for comics is either weed or alcohol, especially in this area. That's what I've noticed is weed.
Yeah. Now I remember back in my day, back when I was still playing in a band, our drummer had done cocaine one night. Every single song. No matter what the actual tempo of the song is like, we did a ballad, a soft, slow ballad. Just like we were just
Well, as a guy who played in bands, a lot of bands in the '80s, every drummer I ever played with was on coke in those days, and lots of coke. They weren't just doing like a couple of lines; they would 8-ball before we go on, like they're nuts and so there was never any groove to anything. There was never any like feeling to anything. It was just, let's play everything as fast as we can play it. So if it's a 5-minute song, let's see if we can play it in 1:30 seconds.
Let's play the song on 78 RPMs. No.
Yeah. Which makes it really hard to sing. And you definitely notice when the singer's out of breath, maybe you're playing things too fast.
I know when I was in the studio recording a song, and it was a song that I was singing, I'd written it in the whole bit, and so we were laying down the drum track, and so I didn't have the rest of the band; it's just myself and the drummer, and so we were we got into a nice groove, and the drummer had found a nice beat in the whole bit, and we did the song, we laid down the rest of the tracks, and then I go to sing it. And it's actually too fast for me to sing. It took me another week to relearn how to sing the song because it was too fast for me. And I couldn't get all the syllables out. I had to relearn the song. So, and the guitar solo, I had to like eliminate half of the notes in the guitar solos because it was just so fast. It was muddy. You know, it just didn't have any distinct notes. So I had to like eliminate notes so I couldn't slow it. I wasn't going to spend thousands of dollars to re-record all of the parts, so the guitar and the vocals would be right. I just had to relearn everything, and that wasn't even on drugs.
I'm listening to you. I'm not. Willie was like, "What's the matter, man? You're not paying attention to me." No, I'm paying attention. I'm just trying to see if this guy, James Walters, is writing to me at all and it has any problems, because it seems like his equipment is working. We see his face pop in there, and then he looks at what's going on, and then like, what do I do? I'm out of here.
Speaking of out of here, I have a hard out at 12 o'clock. I have to be out here by noon.
Let me see your hard out. Come on.
Not till 12, because my hard out's not until 12. So 12? I can't stick around after 12 o'clock.
Neither can I.
I'm just putting it out there. Don't be a copycat and say I can't do it either. I said it first, okay? Don't be a copy and off of me just because I said it.
No.
Be original.
All right, I got it hard out at now. But what do you think? Maybe I'm self-conscious here, but I feel like maybe I'm saying something that's pissing him off or making.
No, maybe it's just his equipment. Maybe he's bought one of those gimbal things that Grillo had, and everything keeps falling over every time he.
That was funny. I mean, watching the phone fall and get a picture of his cock.
He didn't know how to use a phone. I think that's all that was happening.
Yeah. I kind of gathered it, but the thing is, it seems like he'd have done a few of these interviews, but he did say it was new, so maybe he was.
When he was on Stern, he got shit on a lot for stuff like that.
You think he learned by now?
You guys talk amongst yourselves. I got to answer James. He thinks that I'm interviewing you guys, and this is a interview in progress.
Oh.
All right.
So someone who's watched the show then.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's like people come on and they see that there's a private chat. Why not just drop something in there? Like, hey, or what?
Yeah, a deuce. Yeah, just drop a deuce in the private chat. What's going on? When am I coming on? Are you in the middle of an interview?
Yeah. What day am I supposed to be on? Yesterday? That kind of stuff. So yeah, he said, "It's so sorry. I keep cutting in on your interview in progress."
No, you're not cutting in. So what happened with
May
Sarah
I cut
Salter?
in? May I cut in?
Wait till the next song. This is Ron and our song. I hate it when people cut in out middle of our song. So what happened with Sarah Seltzer?
So basically, what you're saying, and I think we've known this for a while, that Ron has jungle fever.
I wouldn't call it necessarily jungle fever. I think it's more like
women fever. I like women. Of all colors, races, creeds, nationalities.
It's like I don't have a type. I just have a mood.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in a mood for big tits.
I like white women. I like black women.
So thanks for reminding me. Now that picture,
big tits that reminded you of what?
Of the picture that Jackie sent from the scene from Private Parts, because in this email he's talking to this girl Maria, who was the first person to go topless on Howard Stern back when he was on AM radio. And
but the picture, wasn't she bottomless in the picture?
Huh?
Wasn't she also bottomless in the picture? Or was that?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting to that point. James is here now. We're gonna bring him in 1 second. James, just hang out. Don't run away. So Jackie sends us, and again, he doesn't realize he's CCing me. He's talking to her. He says, "This is Jenna Jameson, who played you in the movie." And she said, "I wasn't bottomless. I was only topless, and you weren't in the room." So she has a very vivid memory of this. But so, sometimes
I would think that if I was naked live on radio, that I would have a vivid memory of it as well. I would like, excuse me, I did not have a tramp. I did not have a tramp stamp on my back.
It was before they simulcast stuff with video feeds. We're talking the 80s and AM radio, and they would have never done that on television. So yeah, maybe she has a memory of it like that, but
well, it's probably because it was the fact that it was the Howard Stern show, so it meant something to her as opposed to Jackie, who was on the show all the time.
Right. And Jackie didn't produce the movie. Jackie was just,
Yeah, people
and the director told him, "You're in this shot." Okay, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Am I getting paid?
take liberties with they
Right.
yeah.
But the thing is, I posted that. Now you don't see the face or anything. All you do is see like there's a naked woman in a chair, blonde hair, and Ron knew right away, Jenna Jameson. Like he was on the money as soon as I sent that picture. Jenna Jameson. Yeah, you're right, because it says that in the email. Here's Jenna Jameson playing you.
And the thing is, I didn't see it, so I saw the picture and I was like, okay, I'm not. Look, I just recently interviewed someone for Done Way Past Funny, and they're gay.
All right.
And I've had to do all this research of their life for the interview. And now I'm being bombarded with Bear stuff, like Bear Magazine. I'm just being bombarded with all this gay stuff because I had to research a gay guest. So I don't click on anything you guys send me.
Let's get to James before he runs away again. Can't have him running away again.
Oh, before we drive him away.
Yeah, right. I'm so gun shy, trigger shy about offending people. Is that my phone doing that?
I'm trying to figure that out. I think that may be me.
All right. We got gas. Dad, author, podcaster, friend, business owner, mentor. Like you, James Walter has several titles. Not me. I got one title. It's like, dude. He's the creative director for a photography company, host of a podcast, The Joyful Rebellion, and the author of 2 books so far. And he's here. We're not going to let him run away. Good morning, James.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going. So this looked like I was interviewing these 2 schmucks. I'm sorry.
No, I was in. I came in and I saw this thing going on. And I was like, crap. Did I just mess this up? And so I backed out really quick, and then I gave it a few minutes, but now I'm here. So
well, I have this issue where people hear me talk and they get, I don't want to be on this show, and they run away. This has happened like 100 times already. So I'm really, that's really not a bad ratio in 3,000 episodes or whatever of all the podcasts I've been doing. So that's not a bad ratio, but it's enough to make me a little gun shy. Like, wow, what I gotta not talk when I see a guest down there. Just be really.
And sometimes my wife is working from home and her office is right next to mine, and there's no soundproofing because this house is not meant to have 2 offices next to each other. And sometimes my wife will hear me say something and I can hear her apologizing for my potty mouth because she's on the Zoom call, and she'll say like, wow. I'm really sorry about what my husband's. I can tell when she's apologizing because the sentence will sound like this. My husband's on a radio show.
So James, tell me what the hell a joyful rebellion is.
A Joyful Rebellion. It's kind of a passion project, but it's the podcast that I host, and it's about that time in people's lives. And sometimes people have a couple of these along the way, but it's about that time in your life where you think you did everything right, and whatever your idea of success is, you did all the stuff, you worked hard to get there, and you thought it would be awesome. And you look around and you're like, okay, I've got all the stuff I wanted, and I did all the stuff my parents told me to do, and I'm not feeling it. And
is that an insult because we're on this show together?
Not at all. Not at all. But it's the Joyful Rebellion part comes in when you look around and you say, okay, I'm not really feeling all this like I thought I would, but now I have to figure out what to do next. And a lot of times that involves having to rebel against what you've done in the past, or maybe some of your upbringing, your family programming, like the people you hang out with. But there's always some little rebellion that happens to get you where you want to be. And that's what it's all about.
So you interview people who are at this crossroads in life of trying to discover who they are?
A little bit. I talk to people who have either been through that experience themselves and they've come out the other side of it with a lot of wisdom that they can share. And quite often, a lot of the people I talk to have not only been through that experience, but now because of that experience in their own life, they help someone else, or they help other people get through that.
Yeah. If I did everything my parents told me to do, and the FBI came and said, you can't do that. There's a clip of me talking about this subject because one of the first questions we're asked that we remember as a child is, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
And my answer to that, and I'm 65 years old, and my answer to that is stock. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up. I just want to have fun. I don't really want to do anything that feels like work.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just want to be at play. That's what I want to do. I want to be a child when I grow up.
Yeah.
I told my parents I want to be a god.
How'd they feel?
I even ran around pretending to be Hercules.
Yeah.
and how'd that work out?
Yeah.
You're in a car with an urn.
Well, but I'm not in the urn. That's better. It's better than being in the car with the urn. Yes, well, that's true. And I better get used to it, because once I'm in there, it's going to be in control, total control of our destination.
Yeah, but James, so the obviously sensible answer: everybody can't be like me. Everybody can't be a child forever. But I'm just wondering: is it an epidemic thing? Do we have a refusal to grow up epidemic in society?
I kind of hope so. I kind of think so. I know my daughter is like that. She's 16, and from the time she was really early, she's even got something in her room right now that's written on chalk on the wall. It says, "Always be a kid." And I'm like, that's kind of cool. And I tend to gravitate to people who have either that childlike curiosity or are in some ways bummed about having to do adult things. I'm not one of those people who says, "Oh, I adulted today because I paid an invoice or something like that." That's a pretty low bar. But
yeah.
Do you feel that people are like, I don't, maybe like living their lives more, like especially with the pandemic, and we're past that, but especially with how everything is politically and everything else that's happening, do you feel that more people now are just more apt to say, fuck it, and I need to live my life because the way this ship is going, who knows how long it's going to last?
Yeah,
I've noticed that. And the cool part is it's like people are less focused on things that they can't control necessarily, right? So it's people, and maybe it's just in my bubble, right? But people are less concerned about watching the news. They're less concerned about what somebody a few houses down the block are doing. So it's more about, okay, what adventures am I going to have? How can I impact my family? How can I go live more life? And I'm always saying, when I talk to people through the podcast, I want people to get more life out of life. And I'm noticing people are taking that on themselves, which is pretty cool.
First of all, I want to be in your bubble. I want to be around these people who don't care about the news. I want to be one of these people who don't care about the news. I don't know. It's like I'm addicted. I'm a bit of a masochist because I know the state it's going to put me into. And we were discussing this before. I get myself into a happy place, and as soon as I'm in a happy place, I want to destroy that happy place by listening to what Donald Trump did today. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? But this idea about not growing up, there's two aspects of that. I love the idea of childhood wonder and curiosity and being able to embrace new ideas and just be curious about the world and all that kind of stuff. That childhood quality. The problem where it becomes a problem for me is responsibility. I want to have that irresponsibility of being like a child. That's what kills my spirit is having to be grown up in, wait a minute, I got to be responsible for stuff. I have to watch what I say. I can't talk about Jackie hitting on some girl who was naked on Howard Stern 45 years ago on the air. I can't do that because I could get him in trouble. Things like that. Yeah. So anyway, one of the things
just last week, my wife was in a very, very bad mood, on the verge of self-medicating for that day, and she warned me. She goes, "I'm telling you now, I'm in a bad mood," and then I'm still going to be myself because her mood is her mood. It has nothing to do with me and my mood. And so after a couple of hours, she goes, "Look, I appreciate you trying to cheer me up and make me laugh, but it's not going to work. Okay, I'm in a bad mood." And I thought to myself, I'm not trying to cheer her up. This is just who I am. All right, I got it. I looked at it, I just said, okay, I got it. And when you yell at me, I won't take it personally. No biggie.
Wow. I need to get, I want to get that and go into James's bubble. And you're talking about bringing about all my shortcomings here. One of the things you talk about is creativity and why being boring is an important part of, and maybe I have this wrong. Am I stating this wrong? That being boring is an important part of being creative or cultivating your creative voice.
I think that's true. And that's something I like to talk about because people think, okay, if you're creative or if you're doing the kind of work that demands you to be creative a lot of the time, they think, oh, well, you're creative all of the time. And as we all know, you can't be anything all of the time, right? And so what I realized several years back is in order to kind of keep the pace that I needed in my work and in my life to not be bored with my work, that's the last thing I want to be bored with, is that I needed to be boring intentionally in other parts of my life. And for me, that's my clothing. Like I wear basically the same kind of t-shirt every single day. And that's not new. You know, a lot of people have talked about doing that. But I do the same thing with my food. My food's kind of pretty much the same, just basic stuff all the time. And so I don't have to think about it and I don't have to worry about it. And people say, well, okay, so that's not just necessarily being boring. That's getting rid of decision fatigue, right?
Yeah. Creature of habit.
Yeah, creature of habit, but it frees me up to think about other stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then if you start doing that consistently, it's like you build up this habit, but you also, when you build up a habit, you build up confidence that goes along with that habit. And that can play into creativity as well. So
yeah, especially in the food thing.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm not an experimenter with new foods. It's like, you know what? I've lived 65 years. And for me, it becomes a confidence thing. It's like, I know I'm going to eat it if I order what I want. If you make me order something that I've never heard of before, there's a chance I'm going to take one bite and the whole thing's going to go to waste because it's just awful and I can't deal with it.
You sound like somebody who's never been on a date with somebody for the first time and ate something that you didn't want to eat just to impress the person you were on a date with.
What's a date?
Okay, it's a little fruit that you can get, that you may still be able to get in the supermarket.
Yeah. Well, my first date with my wife, I said to her, I don't like dating. I call dating trying on people. It's like going to the store and trying on clothes. You go to it's the same thing. You're trying on people. So our first date was a walk down to the beach, and that's the only. And then 2 weeks ago, I did a paint party, and she came along as my assistant. I said, "This is my assistant. That's actually our first date. We've been married 18 years. This is our first date."
I was dating someone between wives, and on our first date, she, like halfway through the meal, she looks at me and she goes, "This feels more like an audition than a date."
That's exactly it.
All right.
And I said, "Actually, it is." I said, "Yeah, actually, it is. Because if it goes well, then there will be a second, then there'll be a call back, and eventually you may get the part."
You're the director. You're the casting director. I always feel like I'm the person going in for the audition. See, at least you adopt the power seat, the casting director seat.
Yeah.
If I felt that way, I might be more inclined.
Well, I just assume that both of us are on auditions. I'm auditioning for a part. You know, I want the part between her legs, and she was auditioning for a part. You know, we're both auditioning for parts.
James, you talk to a lot of comedians?
I don't.
Ah.
Actually, and he still hasn't.
Here's the thing with beginning comedians, and I see this because I'm in Facebook groups of comedians who have been doing it less than a year. They always talk about finding your voice. How do you find your voice, your comic voice? And I'm like, it's not something you could really look for.
Yeah.
If you're going to find it, you're going to just wake up one morning and say, oh, that's it. I did not know. But the same thing is true with authors. And I interview lots of authors, finding their authentic authorship voice. And I'm still of the idea that no matter what it is, you can't really if you're consciously looking for it, you're never going to see it. You have to let it just develop and discover who you are. Do you talk about those things and how you arrive at that place where this is authentic me?
Yeah, that's a good one, because you're right. It's like this is a parallel thing, but on the podcast I talk a lot about happiness and how so many people I've talked to are looking for happiness, chasing happiness, and they're reading books about happiness, listening to podcasts about how to be happy. And it's kind of the same thing as, okay, what's my voice going to be? And one day I read a ton of books about being happy, still wasn't happy. And then I realized all the books kind of said the same thing. The subtext was, you're going to be happy when you decide to be happy.
Right.
And then you just go about your happy little way. It's the same thing with your voice. And I'm still going on that journey as a writer, because I went on that journey as a photographer, several decades ago. And it's one of those things that it develops over time, but it's not, you don't go on a journey and say, I'm going to find my voice this weekend, or I'm going to find my style, or whatever it is. It's one day you wake up and you're like, oh, wow, I feel really comfortable doing this thing. And people are responding to it, and I'm enjoying it. And then you realize, it's only in hindsight that you realize, I think this is what I was supposed to be doing this whole time.
I apologize for not having a picture
thing
of your book. Hold on, Gigi. Let me just, I apologize for not having a picture of your book, Plotting Your Joyful Rebellion. The problem I had was I could not find an isolated picture of the book. It's always like in the grass or something like this. But so you can find that at ajoyfulrebellion.com. There's a link to it from jameswalters.com. Okay, Gigi, yes.
No, just thing. I think the danger in sometimes the danger is if you haven't found your voice yet, but you become popular enough that people identify the voice that you have at the time as your voice, and it's not your voice. It's either one you borrowed or you've mimicked, or it's the voice that you've shaped because of your surroundings, and that's the voice you've adapted. And then you become famous for that, and then eventually you find your voice and you start to use it, and people go, that's not the James Walters, and that's not the G.D. Fenderson that I've come to know. Who is this person taking over? So I was
just thinking that very same thing as you started talking. I noticed on your podcast, Joyful Rebellion, you've interviewed my friend Annie Korzen.
Yes.
She's an interesting person. What do you have any takeaways from that interview? Because I have not listened to it yet.
It's funny because Annie, when people say, oh, Annie, I was like, she's a hoot. I mean, she is just 100 miles an hour and completely, she's found her voice. I'll put it that way. There's no doubt about that. But the big takeaway that we talked about so much in our interview was the fact that she's 86 years old now, and she spent her whole life basically apologizing for the way she was. She felt like she didn't really fit into the society she was born into because she was a woman. She was outspoken. And back when she was coming up, that wasn't what people or society really wanted out of a woman in her time.
Right.
And so she felt like she wasn't going to make herself smaller. So she felt like she had to keep apologizing. And now, fast forward many, many years, the thing that used to get her in trouble has her millions and millions of people saying, oh, you're amazing, and we love listening to everything you have to say. And when she first went viral, she was just talking about how this blew her mind. Like, why do people want to hear what she had to say?
Yeah.
And it took her a minute to get her mind wrapped around it.
A TikTok sensation at 86. That's what you're alluding to. Is this?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. When she got on TikTok and it blew up, and I think she realized like time caught up with her. Like, it's almost like she was ahead of her time for so many years with what society wanted out of someone, and now time is kind of catching up with her, and people are celebrating her for the very thing that she used to feel like she had to apologize for. It's crazy.
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me about her is she's always had this like kind of confident, outspokenness, but she's also very down on herself, almost to a fault, where she says, "I'm known as a character actress, which means I'm ugly." I'm like, wow, that's a terrible way to look at yourself, especially for a woman. A guy can say, "Well, I'm ugly," and it's not no big thing. But if you're a woman and you keep telling yourself, "I'm ugly," that's not not good for your confidence. It's not good for your strength. But she's been a person who does that, but has still been very strong and convicted about her opinions and stuff like that. So it's just an interesting.
But if she doesn't identify as, if she doesn't let her looks define her, then if she's maybe just comfortable saying, "Look, it's a fact. I'm not traditionally attractive, but I'm really good at what I do." So it may not affect, it may not be the negative thing to her as it is to you. I grew up being an unattractive child. My father told me when I was very little, he goes, "I'm gonna teach you to cook. I'm going to teach you to clean. I'm going to teach you to sew. I'm going to teach you to iron." And then he says, "Because you're a very ugly child and no woman is going to want you when you grow up."
Dang.
And my mother says, "I'm sure he was joking." I said, "No, he wasn't, because I lived through being the ugly child. I grew up with it. I know what he meant."
And I remember running into your mom on a train, and we were saying, "Could somebody get
You're the one who broke her leg. That train accident hurt."
I told someone, "Could somebody get a banana for her monkey?" I'm sorry. That's a Flip Wilson joke.
Yes, I'd say my mother came home that day saying she met Flip Wilson, and she described you, and I went, "Flip Wilson is black, right?" Yeah. He's much whiter than he looks so black on television.
Yeah. Now, are you basically talking to people in the arts when you're on the podcast or are there people from other avenues of life, like doctors, scientists, teachers, whatever, any of those people, or is it just creative? I don't know, people in the arts.
It's a wide spectrum of people that I talk to. I've talked to several doctors. I love to talk with people who have gone through a personal experience, no matter what they do for a living. So it's not necessary that they practice whatever they're talking about, but I've had a lot of people who are, for example, first-time authors, and they go through that story because so many people I talk to, they say, "Yeah, I want to write that book." So I want to put people in front of them on the podcast who have done it. So hopefully they get inspired. But one of the last conversations I had was a guy. He was a police officer. He was coming up on retirement. He was like, "Man, what am I going to do?" He'd put in his 20 years. So it's not like he was of retirement age that we think about, like 65, 70, 80, whatever. I don't think about retirement because I don't know that it's going to happen. But this guy was on a track, right? He was like close to 50. And he said, "I need to go ahead and start whatever I'm going to do when I retire. I need to start it now." So he started writing a book, and he wrote a mystery novel, and he just walked the podcast audience through his whole process, because he did it all, the school of YouTube, the school of figuring it out on your own, and talked a lot about that experience. So it's a wide range of guests.
It's funny that you said all that, because I actually kind of went through that last year, because my job was outsourced, and my job officially ended January of last year. Like, I got a severance package and everything, but like that really, it was strange too. Like, I would never have thought like my job would have been outsourced of all jobs, but it was. And so that, I mean, it was like coming out of a relationship. It was very odd, because you're with this company for 20 years. Then all of a sudden they're like, "We found this hotter Latino. They're younger. We can pay better. They fuck a lot better." And that's what they did. And so it really
was that part of the job description?
Yeah.
It's a wild job, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's great is when your job is outsourced and they want to keep you, they make it seem like it's your fault. They're like, "Oh man, don't worry about it. It's just global business needs. It's not you, it's us," type of shit.
The Costanza line. It's not you, it's us.
Ron
But
that Ron had
I'm just realizing why those Frito-Lays tasted so funny now.
and Ron had to train his replacement.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to train my 2 replacements.
Yeah. Oh, so 2 people to do your job.
Well, yeah, it's Frito-Lay. So they start with 2 people, but I bet they are going to cut one of those people eventually if they haven't already.
Yeah.
It'd probably be like that scene from the Joker and Batman where it goes, "Good news, we have an opening." you two got to fight it out.
This hat that I'm wearing, my Mexican replacements actually gave this to me when they came here to meet us and stuff like that. They brought me a hat and some food.
So James, let me ask you, as a podcaster now, do you feel like you've arrived at a place that, first of all, might have been unexpected to you in the podcasting world? Like, a lot of people jumped on podcasting just because they were bored during the pandemic or whatever. But for you, was this something that, I don't know, I hate to sound corny, you feel like you were meant to do, or is it something you just stumbled upon and liked it?
It's definitely something I think I was meant to do. I don't know if it was necessarily the podcast, but I've been telling stories all of my career. So I started out as a photographer, which is what I still do. That's my day job. So when I'm not in front of the microphone, I'm behind the camera, helping people tell their stories, whether that's business owners, entrepreneurs, helping them brand themselves and get their message out. Or with the podcast, I've been able to really help people with their stories, get it out to an audience, and help an audience understand that they can take control of their own stories.
Yeah.
Because I had to learn that for myself a dozen or so years ago. I was like, hey, all this stuff, it felt like it was happening to me. I was like, screw this. It's like I'm about to happen to it. And that was a big mindset change. But now I want to help more people through that mindset change, because there's a lot of people who need it, especially if they're, between those ages of like 40 and 60. I see that a lot, where they're trying to figure stuff out.
One change that I know you can help make it within don't take this as an insult. There are photographers and hairdressers think of themselves as artists. The general public doesn't.
Yeah.
They don't understand that you have an artist mentality, an artist eye, and that what you do is art and creative. All I do is shop pictures. And I think part of the concept for the consumer audience is to understand that these people are artists, and they are coming at it from a creative. It's not as simple as just clicking a button and just choosing the right pictures and sending it in. But I feel like there's a whole. I know lots of photographers. One guy I know who is very well esteemed within the rock and roll world, and people just think of him as just a shutterbug. He's not. That's not art. That's not creativity. It's like a part of that is that. So, do you, with your podcast, are you reinforcing that message or getting that message out there and helping people understand that what you do, what you've done your whole life, is an artistic endeavor?
I haven't really talked much. I mean, it comes up some in conversation of what I do as a photographer, but it's more about the storytelling part.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't think people think about that part of it, but there's a huge technical aspect, but also artistic. I don't get into the weeds too much on that. I keep them pretty separate with the podcast to what I normally do.
Yeah.
But
one of those
it
things
comes
when
up.
you see a picture that makes you go, wow.
Yeah.
You tend to think, that's just lucky. He just hit the button at the right time. Like, no,
Yeah.
that was a creative effort that he thought about and put some work into. It's not, or she. But it's not that we tend to think it was just the luck of the draw. Oh, he got, wow, that's a fortune. I know this because I fall into it a lot too, and then I have to remind myself this is skill. This is not something that just happened by accident.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like being a, I feel bad for magicians because I am fascinated by magic. I love to see a magic trick, but I know that they know like what's going on behind the scenes, like how are they fooling you, right? And as a photographer, a lot of times when I see something, especially on social media, something that's supposed to be, happen in real time in the moment, and I'm like, yeah, how did they get a camera there? That's not like security camera footage. And how did they get a camera in this other series of events just happened to take place while the camera was rolling? And oh wow, the light was pretty good too. That seems strange. So I'm looking at these things, I'm like, oh yeah, that's super fake. Or I can spot AI from 100 miles away, and my friend's like, oh, did you see this thing that happened? And I was like, oh, you mean that fake picture that someone posted? And they're like, oh, is it fake? I'm like, 100%.
I know two of my favorite pictures that I've taken. One was I spent the night trying to capture lightning on film. This is back with regular film.
Yeah.
Back, before digital cameras, and my favorite pictures I caught lightning on film, picture. And the other ones I did a time-lapse photography. I held the shutter open one night when the lightning bugs were all coming up out of the ground.
Oh yeah.
And so I had all these yellow streaks. Yes, I guess I held up for like maybe 4 or 5 seconds while the streaks just came up out of the ground. Those are my two favorite pictures I've ever taken.
That's cool. It would have looked like you were casting spells or something.
Yeah.
You mentioned AI, and there are people who hate AI. I think GD hates AI. I'm not going to speak for him, but I think
as a species, I hate AI as a species, not as a tool.
They just heard you say that.
Yeah, they did. But they're artificially stupid. No, AS, artificially stupid. But I come from a place, and GD is the same age as me, and he had a similar path here in music, where drum machines started. Oh, that's going to be the death of it all. DJs were going to be the death of musicians. Eventually, we learned to take these technologies and be creative with them. The fine line is where we let the machines, the robots, whatever it is, dictate where we're going with the creativity, and as opposed to using it as a creative tool. Do you see a place for what we're just broadly calling AI in the creative arts and creative process and creative lives of people?
I do. I've experienced it firsthand where I'm not letting it do the work for me, but I'm letting it do little things for me. So if I'm retouching a photo and I want to get something distracting out of the background, this AI stuff's like, it's pretty good. And but moving on to just the broader creative stuff, I know a lot of people are doing like getting help from ChatGPT with their script writing. And it does allow creative people, if they've got a good idea, to develop it a little faster, maybe get it out to market a little faster, so to speak. And that's interesting. But it's so right now, the way it is right now, just really creative, original content. It's not, I don't see it happening. And if I do, they're doing a really good job of fooling me. Because
I would agree with that. There's very few that I think are using it in a way that makes me say, "Well, that was a creative use of it." Right? And I know I am very guilty of this, of just being lazy. And one of our regular viewers called me out on it yesterday about putting all these reels out that are done by AI, music reels, and they're music profiles of stuff. But you can tell it's an AI voice. And I do, even though I put some extra work into finding appropriate images rather than AI images on it, people are they're negative on it. And I'm like, you have to understand, this is what keeps my channel afloat while I keep doing other things. It's important to me. If I had to do this manually, it would be an investment of hours and all that stuff. It's a matter of time and all that stuff. But I do feel like there is a point where we have to get to human creativity, thinking, how do I use this that in a way that really is different and something that people is unexpected and all that stuff. And I don't see a lot of it. I think what we're seeing is a lot of off cookie cutter AI apps that will, we'll cut shorts for you and all that stuff. That's not what the technology should be doing as far as creativity stuff. Have you had any guests on your podcast that have had any kind of insight into how to use it creatively?
No, I haven't. I haven't really gone there on the podcast. One thing that's fun about being a photographer is I get to dip into people's lives a little bit, and sometimes big corporations' day in the life. And the most I've heard talked about AI was a few months ago, and it was for a health insurance company. And it was just someone basically talking about some of the pitfalls and dangers of AI. They were talking to the information technology, the IT people, and they were talking about a couple of cases where companies took it too far and didn't realize what they were playing with and got in some big legal trouble because of it. And I was like, okay, I don't want to say, oh, this thing's going to solve all of our problems and hit the go button and then get in really big trouble. So I've been taking a little step at a time, but I haven't really explored with anyone else the creative possibilities.
Yeah.
But they're big.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot you can do.
I feel like it's encouraged us to stop using that creative muscle and just think of it as, how can I be lazy? How can this save me time? Rather than, how can I use this? One of the perfect examples from back in the day with music stuff, drum machines. Phil Collins was the first one to say, how can I make this, just use this to enhance what I'm actually going to do with real drums later on? And In the Air Tonight, I thought was a creative leap forward as far as how to use this technology in a way that will blow people's minds. And I have not seen really any good examples of that with AI, and it's really depressing. And I find myself falling into that same trap. I'm just being lazy here. I'm not thinking, how can I use this to really make a statement?
Yeah.
And I think that's, if anything, and I'm wondering if this is a common thread with the guests you're speaking to, is we want our lives not. We don't want immortality necessarily, but we want to make a statement with our lives. We want to know that this whole thing was not just an exercise. You're born, you suffer, you die. We want to make a statement with our lives. And I'm 65 years old. I'm still trying to figure out, what statement do I have to actually add to society or the world? Is that a common thread that you see, or do people feel like they with this a Joyful Rebellion, they've actually found that and now are sharing that with people?
I think it's that second one where they've gone through the fire in whatever it is. I've had anywhere from people who realized when they were 50 and had grown kids and had been married for 25 years that they were gay and had to, they'd been living with it for a long time and finally just had to get real with themselves and with everyone around them, basically burn down their life to be who they felt like they really were, all the way to people who got a really big diagnosis that wasn't anything they expected or wanted. And they were like 50 years old at that point. And they had to think, okay, am I going to take everything the doctor says word for word and be a cancer patient now? Or, is that my new identity? Or am I going to go out and try to advocate for myself, do things that I know are going to be healthy, and maybe be a lot more involved in changing the direction of my life? So
and
those are
someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, Tim McGraw. That's a Tim McGraw song, but that song was inspirational to me because it was in my early 40s with a whole lot of life before me when the doctor came and told me I was dying. And then I said, well, you can take that as a death sentence, so you could start to live like you were dying. And I think if we all live with that idea that, tomorrow isn't promised to us. The world changes in a big way. But I also came to when you talk about getting real, came to a realization. I wrote a song. Maybe I got nothing to say, because when you find yourself in a place of writer's block, you question yourself. Have my creativity all dried up? Is it possible that maybe I've been fooling myself? Maybe I really don't have anything to say. I want to be on the stage. I want to be able to communicate something, but maybe I just don't have anything of value to share with people. That's a frightening thought.
That is.
Yeah.
And that happens to everyone. I haven't come across a single creative person who didn't come to that point where the page is blank, or they've written that first paragraph and realized, God, I've written that. That's kind of just a version of what I did before.
Yeah. I noticed on your website, you have a form where, what guest would you like to be see on the show? I am dreadfully afraid of that, because I know I can't get everybody that I would want, or that people would want. People would come up with, they want to see me get Bill Burr on next week. And I know I can't get Bill Burr on. So why have you experienced a lot of that? People just using that form to say, I'd love to see you get Elon Musk on the program. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I would forward that to Elon's people and be like, hey, this Sheila said she wants to see you. So it's not me. Just come on.
Yeah.
But I started the podcast a couple of years ago, and I did that kind of as a way to start engagement with people who would be listening. And you probably know how it goes. You've done this a lot more than me, but you start small, and hopefully your friends and family will give it a listen. Then they'll pass it on to someone. They'll be like, oh yeah, I know someone who had that experience, and okay, send them the link to the podcast. And they're thinking, oh, well, that would be a cool idea. I can do that. And so then the audience grows little by little, but I haven't had one where it was outrageous. I've had more people pitching, oh, you should, because you did this one podcast, I have a neighbor who had a similar thing and you should talk to them.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, I've already talked about that. Maybe I can find a different angle for it, but
yeah, I started with a very open mind of having all sorts of people. I had one guy who made a business out of picking up trash. It was one of my very first interviews. It's like it was a strange interview. The guy actually parlayed. He had this epiphany one day, getting out of his car in the parking lot. There was trash all over the parking lot. He said he went into the company and said, "You have nobody cleaning up your parking lot. It makes your company look bad." And then he franchised that out, and now he's a multi-millionaire with a pooper scooper type of picking up litter and poop and all that kind of stuff from parking lots around corporations. But it opened me up to having some really unusual conversations and stuff that I thought, wow, there's a lot of possibilities that we overlook every single day.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing I've realized about creativity. And I kind of nerd out on creativity, but it took me a while. As a photographer, I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to be creative in this one way. But I've spent the last 20 years working for myself. And so as a business owner, an entrepreneur, basically, I realized, and it took me a while to own it, but I realized how much creativity there can be in that. And there's just, sky's the limit. And like this guy with the trash business, that's genius.
Right. So I have jameswalters.com in the description. I also have a joyfulrebellion.com in the description. 2 websites. I mean, I barely can keep up with one. Good for you. But I hope people will go out there. Now, how often, when do you release? Is it every week?
Yeah, every Thursday we drop an episode. So it's usually about a 30-40 minute conversation, and hopefully people get a lot out of it.
Were you approached by Podcastathon, International Podcastathon, to be part of this week? We are doing this right now. We are on Podcastathon. Who knows what that actually means, but we are here for American Cancer Society today, trying to raise money, probably actually helping them lose money. But have you been approached by them to be part of that?
I have not. No, I'm not cool enough yet.
I don't know.
Next
cool
time.
enough. I think you have to be sucker enough. Or just, I don't know, clueless enough. I'm big on giving back and using the platform to try to do things like that. But it's better when I do it on my own. I don't know what we're actually achieving here, but American Cancer Society gives to that. Anyway, we hope people will support your program, and I hope this was not too unpleasurable for you.
It was great.
All right.
It was a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here. You're welcome back anytime. Joyful Rebellion. I appreciate what you're doing, because I am one of these people who, even though I could have easily supported myself through my music and artwork all my life, I always took a day job just as a fallback position. And when I was just about turning 60, and this was right around COVID, the time we had a guy who worked for the company go over to Wuhan and come back. And this was before the COVID had hit. He went to Wuhan to do a trade show, came back, and he had this flu, and he got really sick. And I took a week off, and then I went back, and the guy, my boss, said, everybody's sick, and it's a bad time for everybody to get sick. I'm going to downsize. And I got laid off, basically. And it was the best gift that I could ever have gotten, because I was just saying, you know what, I'm done with the corporate world. Now I'm just going to live for me. I could die tomorrow. And so I'm just going to do what I want to do with life. So, and I think awesome. That if I can sum up what you're doing, it's like, live your life for you.
Very much. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. And thanks for making several attempts to come back.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Wasn't going to miss it.
All right. Bye for now.
Take care, guys.
Bye. James Walters, A Joyful Rebellion podcast. Yeah, Ron, you were so talkative, man. Well, you never shut up. See?
I know.
See that? Anything
inside me?
Anything else worth talking about here?
I want to thank Stephen. He just inspired me.
Ron, stop playing with that dog effect. I'm sorry. Ron's hitting that dog barking effect.
No, I was just saying I want to thank Stephen. He just gave me another inspiration for another urn picture.
What was the inspiration? Hold on, let me see. Is he in the chat room here? I photographed people going deep. No,
he asked me, is GD writing with OJ?
Right.
And so my comeback, or my response was, no, Ernthal J. Simpson to you.
Ernenthal, yeah.
So
you know what? That sounds pretty much like Autumn. Would you like to be on the show? My dog has a podcast of her own. I guess I should get out of here, right? I mean, do we have anything left to talk about? You guys got anything going on? Do you have anything going on with your life? That's what I want to know.
No, this week, this week I'm living my life. I don't have no shows this weekend, but we are going to a party on Saturday and stuff. So
a paint party? You're hiring Matt for a paint with Matt?
No.
I am getting calls to do all these paint parties, and I got one on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. It's only 10 people, but I have a feeling like the Upper East Side is not moving on up. It's not for me. It's people that will look down on me like, oh, him. Well, who brought the white trash into this party? What does that say? Swingers party.
I do have showbiz. I have a couple of showbiz, but I don't know if you want to do them or not.
Yeah, let's do it because we got some time to kill, a couple minutes to kill, and why not do it? There are some. I think there are some significant. I think I know what you're going to talk about, but
I do have a hard out at 12, Ron. So if you can get this out of here before 12 o'clock, I appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to mute myself for showbiz and because the dog's barking. But
and now, bringing you the latest in entertainment news. From Hollywood, New York, and East Bumfuck, Montana, here's our chief entertainment correspondent, Ron Kane.
Showbiz.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Showbiz.
Hey everybody, it's Showbiz. We got a few Showbiz stories, nothing too crazy, but make sure you eat at Minucci's because tonight is open mic soup night. And what that means is we have comedians come in and they stand in a pot of soup and deliver their act. Then after after the show's over, you can buy a bowl of soup from that same pot for 20 cents. So come on out to Minucci's.
Wow.
Come to Minucci's.
I gotta get to Minucci's, man. How's the
I
weight?
know, it's crazy. Soup night. I wanted to mention this Youngblood frontman Jesse Collin. His big song was "Get Together" back in 1967. Has passed at the age of 83.
That explains why I've been seeing that song posted everywhere. I love that song. It's a great song, but I've seen like 1,000 different versions of that video or the song being posted, and I'm like, what the hell is everybody? I thought it was just like a protest. People starting to feel like political protest, get together, try to love one another. Right now, the message of that song is, but so okay, so he died. All right, 83.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. He was diagnosed with Lyme disease back in 2012. The last time he performed live was back in 2019 with his son. They did a duo together, and but looking back, like reading about this guy, he had a pretty productive and fun life. So he made the most of it. It's good for him.
Yeah.
So Netflix is they're suing a director because the director spent $11 million on cars and cryptocurrency, and his name is Carl Rinch, and he was supposed to direct some sci-fi movie for Netflix. They gave him $55 million, and he spent $11 million of it on cars and crypto.
I have to. Am I unmuted? I would probably do the same thing. I would be one of these guys who, if they gave me, all this money, I'd spend it irresponsibly and then like not have the budget to finish the project. This is me. I'm just confessing here, but so basically, if you have a lot of money, don't invest it into this podcast. Is what I'm
saying. Yeah. So if you give Matt money, it's going right into crypto.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The Happy Gilmore 2 trailer is out now. That's coming to Netflix in July. It's got a lot of cameos in it. We've been hearing about this now for months. So a few more months for all the Happy Gilmore fans.
I thought it was out because I saw Adam Sandler post something, thank you for, I guess maybe just wrapped or something, whatever the final edit is, whatever it was. I thought it was because it had premiered. He did this big, like 5-minute thanking everybody for all their support and all whatever nonsense that was. I didn't watch it.
So just be ready, people. You got four months of promotional shit for this movie to come.
I am just so shocked that there is such a demand for or maybe it's a hype demand and an artificial demand. But it seems like a lot of people are interested in this, and that surprises me. I mean, was the first movie that impactful that people really want this?
For a comedy, yeah. I mean, when that came out as a comedy, it was something a little different. It was funny. It was silly, and I think people miss silly. Honestly,
I couldn't agree more. We need silly.
When that movie came out, I heard people talking about it, but I didn't see it for like maybe a decade or something. And I remember the one thing that people was talking about was Bob Barker's scene. That was like it. It was like the only thing I knew about that movie was Bob Barker. And so I watched it just for the Bob Barker scene, but I didn't think it needed a sequel unless Bob Barker was going to be kicking somebody else's ass.
Yeah, but when you're Netflix and you give Adam Sandler a bunch of money, that's what he's going to make. And he signed, I know a few years ago, he signed that big Netflix deal to make like 6 movies for him or some shit, and everyone was like, "Oh my god," because his first movie wasn't that great, but he's actually had a pretty steady track record on Netflix. People are watching his movies.
Can I just comment on one movie I think that he made that did not get a whole lot of attention that I thought was very good? The hairdresser movie, the Zoran.
Don't mess with the Zohan.
Yeah. I thought that was because I was in the hair and beauty industry when that thing came out, and I thought if you know hairdressers, this is fucking hysterical.
Yeah, and like the thing was like the Sandler's movie Little Nicky. The movie is silly, it's absurd. but it has funny moments in it. And, them sticking a pineapple up Hitler's ass. So simple, but yet so funny.
But that's low hanging fruit. Except you're not really hanging your fruit. Low prodding fruit.
So this is the live action remake of Snow White that's coming out. This is the movie that has all sorts of controversy because the star is Palestinian and has Gal Gadot as the witch, and she's Israeli, and they're not really together on that. But if you're triggered by ominous trees and kissing, do not go see this movie.
Who's kissing ominous trees?
I don't know, but it's just so ridiculous what we what everything is rated on. Because
I have a real nice life Snow White living with me, so she should have been in the movie.
Yeah, still my favorite warning, still to this day, is when they tell you that there's smoking in a movie.
Yeah.
But the drinking and the violence we're pretty cool with, but the smoking, that's too far.
That's true.
You could get lung cancer from watching this movie.
Yeah. I just want to make a quick mention of this because I had talked yesterday about Playboy. Cardi has released a new album, but Playboy dissed Ye, and all he said to him, he put out a tweet. It was like, "Hey Ye, shut the fuck up," and then Kanye went nuts after that. So if you want to see Kanye meltdown, look it up. Just another one.
Kanye and Nick Fuentes back together again. The Nazi and the Nazi. Yesterday they were doing something on Twitter.
Maybe they'll do a T-shirt collaboration then.
There's not going to be any kind of lawsuit between this Cardi boy or whatever and Kanye, right? No lawsuits over this. This does not end up like a Drake situation, right?
No, because I think with Kanye, I think more people were surprised that he's still around with all the crazy shit that he's done. A lot of rappers have been kind of placating him, but he's one of this Playboy Cardi. He's one of the few to just come out and just say, "Just shut the fuck up, man, and go away."
Yeah. And why are they placating him? Are they afraid he might go off the deep end and marry their relative or something? Or?
You're gonna go full Martin Lawrence on him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of all the money that he has acquired through being married to the Kardashians, or they feel like, oh, he's still going to produce something with me. But really, I mean, why do you even want to be associated with the guy at this point?
Yeah, that's something. It's like, I mean, I'm a nobody, and if Kanye says, GD, I will pay for your, a special on Netflix for you, I'd be like, isn't there somebody out there? Jay-Z, you hear Kanye's offer? You wanna match that?
But it is kind of funny to think about, like, a gangster rapper looking at Kanye is like, that guy is too much for me. I've killed somebody. It's too much for me.
I got my mind.
You are not a nobody. You're my friend. Damn it! I think you
see that now.
You're not a nobody.
Now I feel worse. First, I thought I was going nowhere. Now I lost all hope.
Yep. So I know Matt's excited about this, but the re-release of Pride and Prejudice for the 20th anniversary is going to hit theaters on, of all days, 4/20.
Wow. He's only happy about the prejudice part. He's not into the pride.
Yeah.
It gives him a phobia. He has pride phobia, but he can get down with the prejudice.
Who are these people I'm looking at?
This is Keira Knightley. I forget this. I don't know that guy's name. But this is from the Pride and Prejudice movie that is almost 20 years old now.
Wow. And she's aging well, right? She's got to be in her 40s now, right? No, am I
Yeah,
wrong?
she's still out there, and I don't know, she looks like Keira Knightley.
Yeah. All right. It's
I wanted to mention this because the Looney Tunes are back in theaters. They have a new movie that dropped last week. It premiered at number 5. Apparently, people are still interested in the Looney Tunes, and the movie dropped in theaters the same day that the streaming service Max removed all the Looney Tunes content because of a licensing deal. They didn't renew their license.
Yeah, so we're basically saying we're not giving this shit away for free anymore. We're trying to monetize it to get off it. That's
maybe, but there's still an audience about it. A lot of people do not like the fact that all the Looney Tune shit was removed from the service because apparently people are still watching Looney Tunes.
But are these the old Looney Tunes, or are they doing new content?
Both. On Max, it's a lot of the old content. The movie is a brand new movie. Brand new.
The question
I'm curious about how much more money this would cost them now, because back in the old days, okay, the original Looney Tunes, they had one guy who did all the voices. Mel Blanc did every voice of every character. And now they must have, if they have like 20 characters, they have to have like 20 people doing the voices.
Well, that's exactly where I was going to go. Like, he's dead. They're going to have to get people who could do those voices, but they're not going to be the same, right? It's gonna,
you know, with AI, they could probably tweak those voices.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
They could probably make them sound almost exactly like they used to.
Yeah, they got a guy that sounds like Mel Blanc. Hell, they may actually own Mel Blanc's voice.
Yeah.
So they could digitally redo all the forever if they have his rights.
Right. Fuck.
Yeah, that would also depend on his contract, his original contract with Looney Tunes. If he, if there's like some way that he did not protect his voice and likeness.
Well, I think his son is involved in voice acting.
Well, I'd be happier with that than the AI stuff. I mean, not that the AI could probably fool me because I'm an old geezer and I can't tell the difference anyway. But it's just, I don't know. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to my Looney and my tunes.
Yeah, and you like, all right, here. So I looked up who does the current Looney Tune voices for the new movie. So there's a guy named Eric Baza, is a Canadian voice actor based in the United States. He's mostly known for voicing several Looney Tune characters, for which he won 3 Emmy Awards for his performances for the cartoons 2020 through 2024, and and Bugs Bunny. So it's one guy, I guess.
At least maybe one guy for the principals. One guy for the principals, and then maybe
yeah. So they must have got a guy that just sounds like Mel Blanc, and like we're just going to use him.
Damn it! I should see. I hate my sinuses.
So if you're a fan of Radiohead, like very pretentious music, they're getting together after 7 years for a reunion tour. If you have an interest in that, it's happening. Then this is the band Semisonic from the 90s.
With their one-hit closing time?
Yep, is used by the Trump administration in this immigration video. And now they're moving to stop that because they're like, we don't want to be affiliated with this shit. But the current administration is using closing time in an immigration video to remove people.
Well, yeah, man. If there's nothing else to be said about Trump, he just does not give a fuck about you. No, he doesn't give a fuck. So you're gonna sue me? Sue me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
The court will tell me to stop, and I'm gonna say, well, make me stop. Fuck you.
So enjoy the suffering, everybody. Enjoy the suffering.
Are those like tortilla chips or dried beef parts?
That's all, folks.
Yeah, no, the prompt for that is beef jerky just being a jerk. That's what it came up with. You're muted, Matt.
I think the prompt was funnier than the prompt was funnier than the image they came up with.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Semisonic, didn't they have another big hit like Leaper or something, Jumper?
No, that was you're thinking of Matchbox 20.
Really? Step Back from the Ledge, my friend.
Yeah, that's Matchbox 20.
All right. So I guess that's a blah, 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 that's a shot for you. I can't do that. I can't do it. Just know your limitations. I can't do it. And
you're using the wrong part of your tongue, and you're using it the wrong way.
Show me how.
You have too much tongue. It's not.
Show me. Don't blow me.
I wasn't going to do either. So.
Yeah. Or blow me, don't show me. How about that? All right, we'll try this again tomorrow. One more day of 2 guests, right? It's only Wednesday. We have 2 guests. Who's on tomorrow, Johnny?
Who's on first?
Speak American.
We have a guy who calls himself ambassador. I don't think he's a real ambassador. I think he's a professor of political science. I think he's been involved in government, but I don't think he's an ambassador. Der. DER. What the hell is DER? Ambassador DER. Jerry Camerata and Simon Mills, who's another author. We're getting authored to death here. Get me some comedians, damn it. Get me Bill Burr.
I'm on it.
For me. You're on it?
Yeah, I'm on it. And that may not be that Bill Burr, but I know I have 6 Bill Burrs that are trying to friend me on Facebook. I can get one of them.
All right. Well, at least I hope you enjoyed the Nazi part of the program. We always like to bring in little Nazis with every part of the program because we know they're in high demand now. Nazis are it. Nazis are the thing. But James Walters was good too. It wasn't a bad show. Do you think, or am I just lying?
No,
it
wasn't bad.
Okay. Well, turn on your radio.
Finish inside me.
Hey, Brock here. Go fuck yourself.
Finish inside me.
Oh my fucking god!
I like omelets better than sex.
Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah!
What you wanna do, baby? It's on you, baby. Walk around happy. What you wanna do, baby? It's on you, baby. Walk around happy. Turn on the radio. Gotta walk around, man. Who the hell are you? Walk around happy. Don't worry. No matter what, don't worry.
If I'm not vaping, I'm raping.
Welcome to Minucci's.
You must be the Monopoly guy.
Finish inside me.
The truth is, I'm right about all of it, and you know it.
I hate you Nazis.
Hey, Brock here. Go fuck yourself.
If I keep squeezing it, it's going to explode.
That's what I call schlong division.
me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen